come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Safo.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, the pastor at the center of allegations of wrongdoing at the National Cathedral to sue the Member of Parliament for Northern Samuel Okudzeto Apraku, who has come out with that expose relating to some monies that were paid to the pastor's company, or what he says is the pastor's company. We'll be hearing more on that. Also, coming up, it is the race for the NPP flag bearership. As ministers resign from the Akufo-Addo government, we hear from former Attorney General, former Minister for Railway, Jogati, who has publicly declared his intention to also join the race. And later on Eyewitness News,
Ghana took its first delivery of oil under the Gold for Oil program. This is our test cargo. This is the cargo to test the framework, to see if everything that has been put in place will work. And by the grace of God, it's clear that the framework will work.
Vice President Dr. Amadu celebrates government's Gold for Oil deal, which has been met with controversy, but which has also seen the delivery of 40,000 tons of petrol and diesel, the consignment arriving in Accra or Tema on Sunday. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
stakeholders within the pension sector push for a relook at the mode of pension indexation in the country.
That's in 50 minutes with Netili Neti of the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations. In the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM in Takrady, Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady, and Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takrady. If you go to the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, we are on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Akpini Radio 96.7 FM in Kwando, as well as Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohwe. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In Upper East, we are on Word FM 88.3 in Zwarungu. We take you to the Upper West region where we are live on Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. And in the Northeast region, we are on Eagle FM 94.1 in the Vice President's hometown of Wale. Do send your reactions to the stories we are bringing you. On WhatsApp, the number to send your message to is 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. You can also go on Twitter and drop your message using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Tweet at Umaru Sanda. Alternatively, go on Facebook. We are streaming this program live on Facebook at Citi FM's Facebook handle. Drop your comments there and you get to see what's happening in the studio as well as hear what the big stories for the day are. Eyewitness News is effectively airborne from number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu and I'm here with Safo. Our first story has to do with the man who replaces Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as leader of the NPP. He has led the party in two consecutive, not two, actually, he's won the party victory in 2016 and also in 2020. He would be done with his term by 2024, and on 25th January, January 7th, 2025, a new president will be elected for the Republic of Ghana. The NPP would have to put up someone to lead it into the race that will result in the declaration of a winner for the elections of 2024. Lots of ministers have been resigning. We are told that is the reason they are doing that. We'll be talking about that. But before then, the gold for oil deal is something that has been floated by the government, championed by the Vice President, Dr. Amadu Baumia. Over the weekend, the first consignment arrived. The Vice President has been celebrating that. Eno, tell us more.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says government's decision to use the country's gold reserve to buy oil for domestic use will help reduce pressures on the forex. Ghana took delivery of its first consignment of about 40,000 metric tons of oil from the deal on Sunday. Speaking at this year's New Year's School of the University of Ghana, Dr. Bawumia says the gold for oil deal is the best for the country.
Take the case of gold in Ghana. We've mined gold for over 200 years. When I looked at the data, realized that our total reserves of gold in Ghana was just 8.7 tons at the end of 2021. The largest gold mining, one of the largest, we are in the top 10 in the world, but we had not accumulated enough gold to build our reserves. We looked at the other side of the balance sheet. We export gold, we import oil. The cost of oil imports is about $3 billion a year. So we asked this simple question: why don't we, since we have always got pressure on oil, why don't we rather reach an agreement to exchange our gold for oil and then sell the oil in cedis, then use the cedis to buy more gold, use that gold to pay for oil, sell the oil in cedis, and then you don't need to look for scarce foreign exchange to buy oil, which always leads to a depreciation in the currency. So with this idea, we said, let's do something that the textbooks don't teach you. Let's do something that is out of the box. And this is why we said gold for oil. And we quickly looked at this, and we negotiated with the suppliers of oil, who were very, very excited and happy to receive gold in payment. Thankfully, yesterday, I think yesterday was Monday, right? Yes, yesterday was Monday. Yesterday, Ghana took its first delivery of oil under the Gold for Oil program. This is our test cargo. This is the cargo to test the framework, to see if everything that has been put in place will work. And by the grace of God, it's clear that the framework will work. And if that should happen, we are going to save a lot of foreign exchange and reduce the pressure on our currency.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia there.
Let's speak to people who understand the industry and ask them what they make of this. Nana Amoisi, the 7th, is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. He's joined us on the line. Nana, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. This is a novelty, but is it also the solution?
Thanks for having me, Umaru, Sanda, and good evening to you and your listeners. As to whether this can resolve the current issues we have in the downstream petroleum market, the IES cannot say for certainty. What we know is that we've seen in many other countries where oil has been used as a butter for other products, but we've not seen one that been done with gold. in Iran, 1995, Iran ran a program, oil for food program. Nigeria is currently running crude oil for finished product program. Although all these two examples are fraught with wastage and corruption, we are yet to see how Ghana's program will pan out, because we believe that the devil is in the detail. We are not privy to the whole arrangement. We are not privy to the contract. And so we cannot say whether this is sustainable or it is going to bring us any form of affordability in terms of fuel price.
The argument is made by critics that there is nothing like cheap oil, and that if we get cheap oil, it will ultimately affect us. Is that the case?
Of course, fuel is a commodity, and oil is also a commodity that's traded internationally on a transparent platform. And so everybody, every player in that space knows the factors and dynamics that induce the price direction. I read in the Ghanaian daily graphic that the 41,000 metric ton of diesel that has arrived is costing about $40 million. When you strike, you'll find that it's going for $976 per metric ton. Last Friday, the price of diesel on international markets was going for $900 per metric ton. And so just going by that, you can tell that we are bringing in this product at a premium, not at a discount. And so we've not seen any clear indication that we're getting this from a supplier at a discount. And currently, what the BDC are also bringing, the discount rate, the premium rate they are bringing in the product hovers between $100 and $120 per metric ton. Supposing government gets its premium far lesser than what the BDCs are bringing. Let's say they have a savings of $50 per metric ton. How does it translate into savings for the consumer at the pump? On just a back of the envelope calculation, you'll find that it's not going to be more than 20 cents per liter. That's what we have identified. But Umaru, we also want to see how much, to what extent this cargo can induce or influence the market. This is just about 40,000 metric ton. We consume as a country 150,000 metric ton on a monthly basis. So this parcel of products, 40,000 metric ton, is just for a week, 7 days. How can it influence the market? Maybe there are more parcels coming. The initial indication we got is that they are bringing 2 cargoes on a trot, 80,000 metric ton for diesel. Then next week or so, they will bring another 80,000 metric ton for gasoline, that's petrol. But here we are today. And Sunday, we've not got any indication that another vessel has sailed. But then what we have today is a gas oil vessel of 40,000 metric ton.
All right. Now, the government has given indication that this is going to be a weekly affair, which means that we are likely to see another docking of some 40,000 or even more, maybe in the coming week. While we work at that, this idea is primarily intended to help with the cedi's depreciation against the dollar. However, we also expect to see some improvement at the pumps. The government is using BOST, a state institution, with Go Energy, which is, I don't know whether to describe it as a state institution or a private institution or an institution that the state has interest in, which will then supply to GOIL and other OMCs if they so wish. The idea is that it would drive the cost of fuel at the pumps so that if BOST brings in cheap fuel and gives it to Go Energy gives it to GOIL, other OMCs would then be forced to also reduce DS or come and buy from BOST or maybe Go Energy. Do you think that is a way that would possibly be used to reduce the price of fuel at the pumps? Because ultimately, that's what we want.
Well, Umaru, Sanda, we'll wait to see. When we got indication that the government is putting up a framework around gold for oil. How we understood it with the industry's terminology is that they are bringing in crude oil because diesel, by definition, is not oil, it's fuel. And so it's a byproduct of crude oil. If government had brought in crude oil for thermal oil refinery to refine, then we can be assured of one, supply security. Then we work towards the price dynamics as well, or the price security as well. But then we are prioritizing importation over our own indigenous natural resource and assets. We produce oil, for God's sake, 10 field, Jubilee field, Sankofa, GME. Ghana has a stake in this production, and we have disconnected Ghana's parcel and our own upstream sector from the downstream when we have an asset of more than 40,000 barrels per stream day to refine. So my refinery is sitting idle for the past 18 months. We don't know how we are connecting our own resource and assets to bring us that sort of relief that we are seeking. And we are waiting, waiting to patronize somebody's crude oil and finished product. I think that is quite unfortunate.
Very well. Since you've mentioned Tor, let me just ask you a question I asked someone just today. If you were in charge of the affairs of this country, what would you do with Tor? Would you privatize Tor like we did to Ghana Telecom in 2007? Would you just close it completely and say, listen, it's a pure scrap metal site, let's sell it to the scrap dealers? Or you would pump money in there and fix it and keep it running?
We cannot scrap Tor. Tor has the CDU, the crude distillation unit, 45,000 barrels per stream day. They have the RFCC, residual fluid catalytic cracker, also a machine that can work. What we can do is to expand Tor. What we need to do is to upgrade the existing facility or infrastructure to bring it to a level where it can crack crude oil to meet European standards that has been set for everybody to follow. That's what we need to do. But then we also believe that government cannot, put together that sort of investment and cash flow that all require to route to a system. And so it is allowed, and we believe that the private sector can provide that needed fund to revamp Tor and expand it. Hopefully, we believe the private sector can inject that sort of efficiency and competence that we require. Tor can work just like gold and even become bigger. We all understood at the point that gold was for the state. But then the state opened it up for other private players to come in. So from the IES desk, of course, government can hold a minority stake in Tor for private players to come in. Today, we have a private refinery coming up, St. Hugh, 45,000 barrels per stream day, hopefully by end of March. The land size of that refinery is just about 20% of Tamara refinery. What can't we use Tor to do? Large storage tank size, they already have the jetty system, they have pipelines. We can only seek funding and expand and upgrade the system.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you, Sanda.
That's Nana Amoisi the seventh. He's Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, IES. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We still have more on that, don't we, Eno?
Yes, we do. So still on this policy, that's the gold for oil policy, the Executive Director for the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, says the layers created in the transaction process may actually increase the price of petroleum products at the pumps.
We know that for 41,000, you could do about 10 days maximum. And then again, it's enough volumes to trigger a certain price movement. We are waiting for, cost of landing the product, what exactly they are also going to be quoting to BDCs to off-take to, OMCs. Whatever happens, you would have a certain financing that would need to be disclosed. And we are waiting for those numbers. Whether we're able to land the product cheaper than the BDCs have been able to do, or these products are coming in rather more expensive, as I'm hearing. In certain quarters, it could be more expensive because we have created other layers, right? That would come in as additional cost. Initially, it was oil trading company, OTC, BDC, OMC. Now you are going to have PMMC. You are going to have an intermediary that pays to the OTC. You are going to have OTC, BDC, OMC still. And so those layers that we have created, we'll be excited to see at what cost would that come on the eventual price of the product itself. And that is why we are asking for how much it costs to land this product and how much we are likely to sell back to the market, particularly the OMCs.
You heard the executive director for the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We have more coming your way. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
We're sorry to interrupt this program for a breaking news story. Information reaching us is that the whole country has been thrown into a state of joy and excitement about the new look of Total Energies lubricants. Our correspondent Kwame Owusu is standing by to bring us the very latest developments. Kwame, what exactly is the situation where you are?
Emmanuel, I must say there's a huge crowd here with drivers and customers extremely excited about the new Total Energies lubricants bottle. I have with me here one of the drivers. Hello, boss.
Yes,
you are live on Quartz 202.1 FM. Tell us the reason for your joy.
My name is Umaru, and for 10 years, I use only Total Energies lubricants for efficiency and performance of my car engine. With a new bottle, it's easier to read, carry, and pour. New bottle design and color, new label, new cap, and security features with a QR code. Massa is the same superior oil quality. Challenge, this is performance at first sight.
So you heard it right. Total Energies lubricants bottle have been entirely redesigned into a modern and premium pack to give you the best experience. Reporting live from the capital, this is Kwame Owusu.
Quartz, keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are broadcasting in the Western region on a number of affiliate stations, including Premier 100.5 FM in Takrady. Now, Takrady is a twin city, Sekendi Takrady. The Member of Parliament for Sekendi is a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Parliament. He's former Minister for Railway. He was also Attorney General, the Honorable Jogate. He wants to now be the flag or torchbearer of the governing New Patriotic Party. He's joined us on the line. Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I don't know if it would be a good question to ask why you want to run for president, or I should just ask, why do you think you are the man the MPP should use to replace Nana Akufo-Addo?
Well, both questions are almost the same. I think that it's very simple. I mean, we have a leader for every time. And I think this is the time that you need a leader like Jogati. Somebody who has gone through the mill, as it were. I mean, when I was Attorney General, under President Kufuor's government, nothing happened without the Attorney General's okay, so to speak. I mean, I remember breakdown negotiation. I was there, energy. I was there in sports, all the media and everything, agriculture and so forth. Involved in everything. Then after that, we became deputy speaker. People underestimate the role of parliament. But I think now that it's 137, 137, they'll become clear to people that governance is not just from the executive, but the legislature is also key. I was deputy speaker for 4 years, and I worked very well with Honorable Duajaho and Honorable the first deputy speaker, Honorable Batin Odro. Indeed, in our time, both of them would first Duajaho would sit for a while, then he gives it to Batin Odro, and they'll hand over to me. And people who were in Parliament at that time would tell you that I'll be the chair till about 10 o'clock in the night. And what it was that you had to even pay attention to when they were sitting. Otherwise, when you come and take the chair, they will confuse you. They will try and introduce something that they have been turned out earlier on. So I had to keep my eye on the ball. And thankfully, that also gave me a lot of exposure. And then I went to the railway sector, which, in my view, I stand to be correct, of course, is the most difficult infrastructure sector to do. I mean, you want to put a port, you go into the sea. You don't deal with issues of land rights and all of that. People demanding compensation. Build 1 kilometer of railway line, and you see the number of people who come and claim rights on that land. So I think that by God's grace, I've passed through the middle, and I have the experience and expertise at this time to present myself to the good people of Ghana and to give them that kind of leadership that they will need from day one. This was the time for us to have experiments. You must have the experience, and I think I have it.
It's interesting that amongst the achievements, you mentioned your immediate past job in the executive, which is where you were the Minister for Railway Development, a new ministry created by the Akufo-Addo administration in its first term. In my view, and in the view of many, the biggest problem for you at that ministry is that you promised to deliver us sky trains. 6 or 7 years on, we don't even have land trains. How do you defend that?
If you hadn't asked me this question, Umaru Sanda, I would have given you a present. Because I knew that. Because for you, that's your biggest question you can ask. I'm very glad you asked that question. You must understand, first of all, I must tell you clearly what happened. In 20, we were approached by South Africans who said that they could build a sky train on a BOT basis, build, operate, and transfer. Because the amount of money that they were talking about per kilometer, we didn't have it in the budget. What I had been given, or the limit I had been given, was a limit of $2 billion. And that $2 billion was going to be used for the Cathedral railway line and the Western railway line. And also, if you remember, one media review budget, the finance minister mentioned 200 million to start the Accra to Kumasi line. And so these people came in 2018 and said that they will do BOT. BOT means build, operate, and transfer. And so they did an MOU. We signed an MOU with them. And they came back after doing some initial studies, what I'll call a pre-feasibility study or a feasibility study. And said now they were in the position to go for it and raise money and so on. They are talked to African Development Bank and so on. So we should sign a concession agreement. I said to them that they wanted it for 30 years. I said to them that there's no way I can sign an agreement for a fixed term of years unless I have not a feasibility study, but a complete costing of the project. That is the basis upon which I can say I've been an attorney general before. So I don't sign contracts for nothing. Well, 2019 we went to South Africa. We signed the contract, and they were supposed to come and do the full feasibility, and then come out. Then we can finish doing all the conditions present for the contract. You know that even if the contract is signed, it's brought to Parliament. That doesn't mean to be finished. STX was brought to Parliament. Atamo's president said that he has sent President Obama to South Africa to put a nail in the coffin.
South Korea.
If you look at South Korea, yes. If you look at the contract that I signed, there were 10 condition precedents. One, you had to finish a full feasibility. Two, it had to come to Parliament. It had to go to Public Procurement Agency. It had to do a value for money audit. It had to go to, there were about 10 condition precedents. What people don't understand is that you can't come into Ghana and tell me that I'm going to do BOT, and I'm sitting there and I'll just sign and give you a 10 and go. No, so I didn't do that. 2019, 2020, South Africa was locked down. I wonder whether, Umaru, you had a special permission for them to come and do the full feasibility. They couldn't even leave their country. Me and you know that I was locked down. And if you ask me whether I'll do a statue when I come, that's now I don't know the fact. What I know that I will do is that I will put an eye on the railway, and we need a form of rail system within Accra and within Kumasi, because we cannot continue having. I mean, look at the petrol crisis that came recently. If you had a train, it would have changed everything. In what country, developed country in the world, do people depend solely on car? So it's a non-brainer to me. I mean, it would transform this economy. If you look at the history of Ghana, listen, the Gold Coast was about 1/3 of the size of Ghana today. They started the railway line. The British started the railway line in 1898. There was a debate between the miners and the agriculturists where they should start from. The miners wanted them to come to the western region. The agriculturists wanted the eastern region. The miners won. Because at that time, the governor was a guy called McKay, who had come from Malay, where they had used tin for railway. He started the railway line in 1878. He reached Kumasi in 1902, 5 years. He went to, the plan was not to go to Kumasi first. It was just to go to Obuasi, where the gold is. But when, after the Yas and War in 1901, they decided to go to Kumasi by 1902 to enable them to take soldiers there. At that time, as you are well aware, Tetekwasi had brought cocoa to the eastern side of Ghana. Somehow, the cocoa found its way to the western side of Ghana. Within 30 years, by 1930, because of the railway line, West Africa, Ghana had become the world's largest producer of cocoa, and it had become the richest British colony. Railway infrastructure will transform our economy. I have no doubt about that in my mind.
Honorable, so there's no doubt about the essence of railway. I've been pushing for that myself. Many people push that transport sector is what we should fix. You were given 4 years to fix that. You did not do it. I mean, you didn't deliver the Sky Train. You've just explained why. But you didn't even deliver any rail line at all. In fact, as we speak, the rail line that was signed by Mahama's government before they left, the one to Mpakadang, is still under construction, even though it looks very good. I have seen it. As we speak, I don't remember the last time I saw a train move from Tema or Nsawam, not Nsawam, Amasaman, to Accra Central. It's something I usually see, even though they're rickety, except for the one that Atamils brought, the one with the Ghana flag. We don't even see them moving at Kwame Nkrumah Circle anymore. People have literally put kiosks on the rail line because they know that nothing is going to move here. And I'm saying that you had 4 years to fix that and you did not fix it. Why should we then give you a bigger job of being the president?
That's why I totally disagree with you. When I was Mr. Borrell, the train started moving.
Is it the one that derailed in the Western region?
I mean, the wheels were moving. And let me make the point that the trains that what they call the Ghana flag, it was first brought by Kufo. It was Kufo who brought it, not Jomama. Not Atamos. Let's get it right.
Which one? I'm referring to the one that is in Ghana flag, the red, gold, green one. That one I recall it was brought by Atamos.
There are 4 red, gold, green ones. There were 4.
Okay.
Kufo bought 2, Atamos bought 2.
No problem.
Bought 2 first.
No problem. And under your administration in 4 years, you didn't bring a single coach, did you?
The second thing is that because we're changing from narrow gauge to standard, you see, what about the railway line? The railway, you see, if you are building the narrow gauge, is the railway runs on a gauge, not like the road. Now we decided to change from the narrow gauge to the standard gauge. So during my time, that was when we were building the new standard gauge lines. And let me say something. You say the contract was signed by John Mahama and so on and so forth, or Atemos. It's a continuum. That whole project was first designed under President Kufo. That was when all the flexibility, everything was done. I don't expect that when I leave, the thing that I started the Obuasi line. I started the line that today is going to Takwa and beyond, over 100 kilometers. But I've left, so the next ministers continue. And so if the lines are not running now, when I was there before COVID, we had done the Accra Tema line, it was running. Before COVID, we were running the Accra Takwa line, yes, it failed once, but it was running. Because we're still running on the narrow gauge, and we are still building the new standard gauge. In fact, standard gauge line was built under my time. And that for the contract that was designed by President Kufo and was signed by Atemos was Accra Tema Akosogo. It wasn't Tema Mpakadang. And that contract could not be executed because at the time it was signed or designed in 2006, we didn't have all the stress that we have today. But the minute I became the railway minister, I went to look at it. I said, well, we can't go 60 meters away from the Akosogo Dam. And we can't have a rail line which is passing through the Akosogo Dam. I asked the engineers whether it would affect the Akosogo Dam. They started arguing with me. I didn't know there were as many opinions as their engineers. And then I said, well, put it down in writing. And they said to me that they cannot guarantee the integrity of the dam because that place is rock. So you have to dig a tunnel 1.3 kilometers. I wasn't going to get the Akosogo Dam broken down. And so what happened was that the contract was dead on our arrival, which was me, who advised President Akufo-Addo and Cabinet that we can go across the water region. And then we decided to go to Impakanen, and that also began the journey to Burkina Faso.
Final one on the rail sector. The South African company, did we pay any money to them?
Not my ministry.
Okay. Let's move on. The NPP as a party is what you have to lead first before Ghanaians would give you the nod if they want to. What is your constituency in the NPP? Why should they go for you, considering the other people you are going against? So no, but I'm losing you.
And the point about what you are saying, this whole thing is that I have given my word that I'll run a decent campaign, and I'm going to the NPP directly to talk about what I will say for the benefit of all listeners, including those who are not in NPP. Is that at this time, I think I'm best.
Oh, but there's a problem with your gadget. I'm hearing you with an echo and sounding muffled at a point. Can you try and re-establish that point?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, better. Thank you.
Okay. I said that I have given my word to the two former presidents, also to myself, that I'll run a decent and neat campaign. There are things that I must say to only NPP members, and I know that your station is for the general public, the public at large. So all I'll say is that I'm of the firm opinion that at this stage of Ghana's development, I have what it takes to lead Ghana, and I'll give you solid and honest leadership.
Solid and honest leadership. If you were the one faced with the current economic quagmire, what would be your leadership? Would you, do you subscribe to the current debt restructuring program by the government?
But what I'm happy about is that disclosure has been postponed once more. And I will say that we need to engage a little bit more. And I'm happy that the finance ministry, I think it's still the third time it has postponed disclosure. So what does it tell me? It tells me that the finance ministry is listening. And let me just talk to you about this economic difficulties we are in. So much negotiation is going on at this time. What I know from business and from law and from everything is that when two parties are negotiating, if certain people state certain positions, it can affect the negotiation. If I wasn't running for presidency, I was not a member of the party, I was not a senior member of the party, I would be able to put across so many things. But I think that just now, if I have solutions, I should say it inside. And in fact, I'm saying it inside. All I'm saying is that government is listening more, and I'm happy. But of course, if I was the leader today, there are certain things I would do. I would cut certain expenditure. For example, in the area of free SHS. And nobody should quote me wrongly. I'm not saying that I'll abolish the free SHS. It will exist as a general rule, but I'll make exceptions. Article 71 office holders, for example, will not enjoy free SHS. You want to be a minister in my government, then you want to enjoy free SHS. You want your children to enjoy free SHS, then leave it and then go and enjoy free SHS. There are several categories of people who I think can afford, and they must afford. If you are a single mother, and like my mother was a single mother who was a teacher, of course, free SHS is welcome. And so I have been through that situation before, so I expect it. But Jogati in his present position should be able to pay his children's school fees.
And in terms of ministers, the size of government of this current president has been questioned a number of times. You were part of his bloated government in the first term. Would you go with that same line, appointing 111 ministers if you got the nod to be president of Ghana?
First of all, I take exception to your characterization of his presidency as bloated.
No, not his presidency, his government.
His government was bloated. I take exception to that because it was part of his philosophy at the time. And let me tell you something. When I was Attorney General, President Kofi wanted to create a new ministry for aviation. And I said the Attorney General does the LI that creates the ministry. The executive instrument. I asked President, why do you want to create a ministry for aviation away from transport? And he said, well, sometimes when you want to focus on something, you create a ministry for that thing. After you have achieved the aim, you can bring it back. I think that if President Akufo-Addo had not created a Ministry for Railway Development, you wouldn't even ask me questions about railway. At least, at the very least, you're in a position to ask me questions about railway. And even though you think that nothing has been done, I can tell you that since independence to when he created a Ministry for Railway, there's not been any error that as much railway has been constructed. The Temantaka Dam, which you say was done by in some other time, I disagree with you. The construction was in President Akufo-Addo's time. He was not under any obligation to do it. And also over 100 kilometers from Accra to from Takwari to Huni Valley, signed another contract for 60 kilometers from around Kumasi to Obuasi. And so perhaps if it didn't happen, if it was just part of transport, I don't know, somebody has been a transport minister, perhaps you wouldn't have focused there because it's quite a difficult thing. The question is that we still need the railway ministry and what are our current circumstances? If I was president in our current circumstances, don't forget that one President Akufo-Addo by 2019 we're growing at a rate of 9%, which is remarkable. But just now we have a post-COVID situation. We have a situation at hand. I have a maximum of 60 ministers, 19 cabinet ministers, 60 regional ministers. That you have to do is constitutional. Every region must have a minister. That takes you to 35. They have 25 ministers more, deputy ministers, and then ministers of state. I have a maximum of 60 ministers.
Wish you all the best and thank you for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you too, and God bless you.
I was going to say thank you, Your Excellency, but I've withheld that until you get elected.
You must. I heard you must be in the. You see, you nearly prophesied, but you've lost the opportunity of prophesying. But thank you to your listeners. To at least I invaded their privacy today, and even if they didn't agree with everything, I say thank you.
Very well, but someone is just nudging me to ask you this: whether does it mean you've kissed Sekendi goodbye?
Oh, that one I said it.
I mean, Esikado, sorry.
I said it before the election. Before the election, I was interviewed by Radio 360, and they asked me that question, and I told them that I won't run again. And then, as I see radio interview, I said I won't run again. So
Okay.
I've kissed it goodbye.
Very well. Thank you so much. We'll do another interview later where we'll do an analysis of your servitude. But thank you and have a good night.
Have a good night too. Thank you.
That's the Honorable Joe Gate. He's Member of Parliament for Esikado Ketan, former Minister for Railway. Let's talk to someone else who wants to run for flag bearership in the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Kofi Konadu Apraku served as a minister for various portfolio, trade, regional integration, and NEPAD, all under the Kufuor administration. He ran in the elections of 2007, the primaries. He did not do it. He did not succeed. Now he wants to run again. Why? Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? Dr. Kofi Konadu Apraku, can you hear me? I think we do not have him. We'll try to re-establish connection to the former Member of Parliament and have a chat with him and on this his intent to lead the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party. We'll take a quick break and return for that. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, Jack, where are you in a hurry to?
Child, I'm going to Imperial to do my car insurance.
What's happening there? Because Info and Yaba also told me they're going there this morning for their car insurance.
Masa, you haven't heard. No, the Imperial is the name in insurance in Ghana here.
Really?
Sure. Imperial General is saying, come insure your vehicle with them at any of their branches or agents or even online from now till the end of March 2023 and get yourself handsome rewards. Fuel coupons, special souvenirs, gift vouchers, and many, many more. And here's the catch. During this reward period, you will also get a free 1-year life insurance cover in addition to your motor insurance cover.
What the wow! So does it include with the taxi drivers and the e-taxis?
Hey, everybody qualifies. So just come insure your car and you are done. Call 0302 788 955 for further details. T's and C's apply. Imperial General Assurance. Solid protection.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. The New Patriotic Party would be electing a flag bearer to lead it into election 2024. A number of people have already declared their intentions. Two ministers at least have resigned. The Minister for Agriculture and the Minister for Trade have resigned to run for that office. We do know that the Vice President would be running. It's not been publicly announced yet. Now, we've just heard from the Honorable Jogate, former Minister for Railway, announcing publicly that he's also going to run. Another person who intends to run is a former Member of Parliament for Ofinso North, former Minister for Trade, Minister former for Regional Integration and NEPA, Dr. Kofi Konadu Apraku. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much.
Where have you been?
Well, I thought perhaps you knew that I had taken a position with the ECOWAS Commission
Oh,
for
you're,
the last
you're still there?
4.5 years.
Okay.
And I was the Commissioner for Macroeconomic Policy and Economic Research for the 15 member countries. And that's what I've been doing over the last few years. I just completed my assignment and obviously anxious to join the political race here. So came back home and I started the process. I visited so many constituencies and regions, and that's what I've been doing.
The former President Kufuor gave you a job to be in charge of integrating Africa under the new partnership under the new partnership for Africa Development, NEPAD. Now you're also talking about this commission of yours. Since I've been a child, or since I was a child, I've been seeing a huge billboard that said there was going to be a currency called the Echo. Should we blame you for the reason we still don't have the Echo?
Well, I think it may not be appropriate to blame me. The issue is bigger than myself and goes beyond me. Obviously, this has been going on for 30 or 40 years since this process started. I've been party to this during the short period that I was Minister for Regional Cooperation and NEPAD, and therefore in charge of ECOWAS. And then obviously I went again for the second time, this time as a commissioner. It is a very difficult process. Structurally, we have 15 member countries. Each has its own economic situation, challenges, opportunities, and different management techniques and expertise are available in these countries. My job was to coordinate policies and to give coherence, to provide guidelines, and to monitor member countries how they perform. In other words, every year during the first semester of the year, we send our professionals from ECOWAS to go into individual member countries, assess how they are performing. If there are areas that we think they are not performing well, we draw their attention to, we work with them to ensure that they have the appropriate policies and a reporting mechanism that allow us to monitor. So we've been up and down. There are times we make so much progress, but we have set what we call the convergence criteria. Member countries must meet certain macroeconomic policy conditions, such as debt to GDP ratio, inflation rate, GDP growth rate, and many others that will allow the countries to have basically common development agenda and all things being equal, credible development patterns, so that when we form a union, monetary union, it will not be just bringing weak countries and weak economies together and not getting the benefits of the integration. Therefore, it's taking us a while. 2020 was our deadline, to the last deadline that we were supposed to have started the new currency. Unfortunately, we could not get enough critical mass, enough countries that are met the criteria to form a credible group or credible currency. So we postponed it to 2026. And I'm no longer there, but I know that they're working very hard. The presidents and the Minister of Finance and the governors that are involved with us in this process have given their commitment, and we're hoping that over time, this year, the last few years, everybody is blaming COVID. But the impact on the COVID on the member countries is a cumulative impact on ECOWAS. And so we all suffered significant losses because of COVID. We have started the march again with significant improvement in economic performance of many of the countries. And hopefully we will get there.
Okay. Doc, considering your background as former Minister for Trade, I believe that would be an area you'll be considering, because this government had said we're going to move from taxation to production. They talked about 1D, 1F, a number of things in the trade sector. We always complain about why we have to go to Burkina Faso to import tomatoes when we have Polugu, which was left for us by Kwame Nkrumah. Even your own village of Akumadan is something that you have in abundance. Is it a policy problem, or it is, I don't know. What do you think is the problem with our food security?
It's lack of adequate commitment. Policies are just on paper. Human beings make them real and make them work. You can have all the ideas you want in the world. The most important ones is the implementation. And therefore, you realize here in Ghana, and I'm not particularly citing this government, we have not been very effective in implementing policies that we have outlined, because the measures to ensure that they are undertaken are usually not followed, and the processes are not examined so critically and over a specified period. So we have good programs on paper. We start, we get excited, but over time, we don't carry it through. And that is the problem. There are so many good ideas that we have embarked on in this country. But now, where we stand, we have to go back and look at the processes, what mechanisms we put in place to ensure that we accomplish, and what mechanisms are put in place for correction. They should be spelled out, they should be underlined, they should have the time frames, they should have the organization or agencies that are in charge of monitoring to ensure that actually results are delivered. I think not Ghana alone. When you have not been able to achieve your target, you cannot complain. You can't make a case except to admit that we have not. All of us were excited about this one district, one factory concept. It's an excellent concept. I supported it. I was the campaign manager at the time, and I contributed to sharing ideas on it. And I thought it could significantly impact, because why? Look at our country. Every region has resources that are plentiful in supply. We have enough technicians in our system that we went out there and targeted specific regions with specific projects that are available in terms of the resources within that particular place. Then all that is left is one, implementation, two, monitoring, evaluation, and actualizing the projects. So this is the area that I think perhaps we need to do more than we have done, because the concepts are there. In many instances, even the resources are there. So what is the missing link? The missing ingredient is lack of ability to supervise and get the results and make sure that the resources that are allocated are used effectively for the project. And in many instances, we find that this is not the case.
Okay, let's conclude now. The last time you tried to be NPP flag bearer, you polled 19 votes, and I mean 19, when others were polling over 1,000 votes. Why do you think the NPP delegates would give you any better votes now?
There's time for everything. You may also wish to record that the first time that I went, I was number 3. I did far better than I did now in the last instance. Well, there are many reasons for that I don't need to think perhaps this is the case. But I'm convinced that times are different. and I've been around the country. As I indicated earlier, I've been in 14 out of the 16 regions in our country today. And I'm confident that my old experience is not what is prevailing. Tremendous improvement. Well, I've had a lot of experience over that period, and I think I'm better positioned than ever before to, one, lead this country, and to begin with, to win this election and to lead this country.
Even though you're coming against strong names, one of them was on the ballot with you. He has always been considered the de facto number 2 when he went against Nana Akufo-Addo in the past. I'm referring to Alan Chemantin. Now, we do know that the vice president has an interest. Other members who are in active politics now or who have been in government in recent times are planning to do so, including the Minister for Agriculture, former Dr. Efi Akoto. All of these people, you think you stand a chance against them, considering that they've had chance?
Very, very tall among them. My experience is overwhelming. Practical experience in managing economies, practical experience in dealing with the current problems, my experience, my knowledge of this party from its formative period, what we stand for, where we are going. I believe I stand better, I have a better chance than anybody in this race to win this. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to the contest. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
That's Dr. Kofi Konadu Apraku. He's former member of parliament for Ofinso North. He served in the Kufuor government in various portfolios, including Minister of Trade, Minister for Regional Integration, and NEPAD. He contested in 2007. He was part of the 17 NPP presidential hopeful or flag bearer hopefuls. He, like I said, they polled 19, but he says he's very hopeful now that he will do better and beat all the others to the flag bearership. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's talk about the National Cathedral, no, shall we?
Head pastor of Power Chapel Worldwide at the center of corruption allegations in the construction of the National Cathedral project, Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng, has described an expose by North Tong MP as defamatory. A statement signed by Reverend Victor Kusi-Boateng, who's also secretary to the Board of Trustees, says the statements by Mr. Ablakwa are a twisted narration of events to pursue a malicious political agenda. He further notes that he will avail himself to the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice following the MP's petition to the anti-graft body to investigate a conflict of interest allegation. He has, however, indicated that he would continue to contribute his quota towards the construction of the National Cathedral and would seek redress against Mr. Ablakwa. Now, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools says some schools across the country are struggling to feed students due to the inadequate food supply. The National Food Buffer Stock Company, which is in charge of disbursing food items to the respective schools, has come under pressure over the delay in the disbursement process. Speaking to Citi News, the president for CHAS, Reverend Father Steve Ususetre, urged the National Food Buffer Stock Company to expedite the disbursement of the food items to avert further challenges.
Some schools have received items when put together could not be used to feed the students. For example, yes, if you deliver beans, maize, rice, and maybe gari to a school, you don't expect the school to use those items to cook for the students. I hope you bear with me.
Yeah.
You are with me. Yeah, because you don't give me oil, no sugar. So I cannot use those items to feed the students. So there are some items, they should be delivered together. So if we say some items have been received and that the school should be able to cook, then it means that those items are items when you put together, combined, could be used to feed the students. But I speak to you now, some schools are finding it difficult to feed the students because the items received are some of these items combined cannot be used to feed the students. This is where we are. So in some regions, some schools are finding it very difficult to feed the students. And we are still in touch with them to push them to go and do the needful, because without those items, we will not be able to feed the students.
Reverend Osuseche also disclosed that schools are yet to receive arrears of food feeding grants to ensure the smooth running of academic work.
implemented?
Something has been given to us. We vacated with some arrears. You understand? We went to the market and bought on credit and fed our students, and school vacated last year. So we were pushing the ministry and the GES to give us the money to go and pay our creditors. The something level has been given to us. So we are still pushing for them to give the money to us to pay our creditors. That is what we are talking about. And apart from that, we have what we call recurrent money. That apart from the perishable, the money that we use to run the school, maintenance, stationery, examinations, and all that, those ones too are in arrears. So we are pushing for the money to be given to us.
Reverend Father Steve Owusu-Setre is the president for the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citybusinessnews.com. My name is Neti Ajahu. Let's settle for the details. The Africa Center for Retirement Research is calling on the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (SNIT) to relook at the mode of pension indexation in the country, as the difference between amounts payable to the highest and lowest earners are unequitable. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust last week increased monthly pension payments by an average of 25%. By the increment, the minimum paid pensioner will receive 430 Ghana cedis, while the highest paid pensioner receives a little over 170,000 Ghana cedis. Addressing the media at a press conference in Accra, Executive Director of the Center, Abdullah Mashoud, noted that the system must cushion members on low pensions in conformity with the solidarity principle of Social Security. Moving on, government is urging both local and foreign investors to commit capital to government's industrial transformation agenda. Government maintains that its flagship program, One District, One Factory policy, has afforded investment opportunities to boost the local economy. Speaking at the third Malta-Ghana Business Forum held in Accra, a Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Michael Otribefi, entreated stakeholders to explore the diverse business avenues under the policy.
The government of Ghana, when we assumed office, in 2017, came up with a very ambitious 10-point industrial transformation agenda. And one of the key points in this agenda is the policy of 1D, 1F. The policy of 1D, 1F has come to stay. It's like social media. You cannot say that you don't want to see it. It has come to stay. And it is doing very well in this country. It's an opportunity for businesses in Malta or businessmen in Malta to also think about this policy by setting up in this country, anywhere in this country, especially outside Accra. We believe that there are a lot of opportunities here that you can take advantage of, and so you can also take advantage of this policy. There are a lot of good incentives, mouth-watering incentives available for investors who want to venture into this area. And the support that you'll be giving are also well established and very secure.
That was the Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Michael Otribefi. Meanwhile, the Minister for Foreign and European Affairs and Trade of Malta, Ian Borg, said Maltese are committed to a win-win partnership between Ghana and Malta that will see the economic growth of both countries.
I would like to emphasize the Maltese government's commitment to work side by side with the Ghanaian government to keep on strengthening our mutual beneficial partnership in all areas. With this in mind, I look forward to the official opening of the Malta High Commission in Ghana later on today. Our representation will help cement Malta's bilateral relationship and provide a strong platform for business opportunities between our countries to flourish. I sincerely look forward to learning the immediate future that this event has paved the way for tangible, increased networking opportunities between the two business communities.
That was the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs and Trade of Malta, Ian Borg. The Ghana National Gas Company Limited says it's working with key stakeholders to ensure that the price build-up of LPG remains stable. The state company maintains that LPG has to be readily available to consumers to mitigate the instance of carbon emissions. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Gas Company Limited, Dr. Benjamin Asante, made these comments at the State of the Agency's Report Forum.
The ministry had a higher level meeting. The presidency as well. That is how important we think that. So that guys are going to do everything we can to make sure that this progress happens. Now, when it comes to the pricing, you must understand that there's a slate of prices or a price builder. The commodity itself is one of them, but there are others that also contribute to the pricing. And we are talking to all those stakeholders to ensure that the price of the commodity to the end user is something that will be reasonable. So that is that. So what I think we are trying to do now, and we've talked to PRC, and we've talked to them before about it. Ghana is willing to cut even our price at the object point of $12. And we also entreat the others to do the same. Particularly, we do not want to see a situation where LPG that is produced locally turns out to be more expensive than what is imported.
That is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Gas Company Limited, Dr. Benjamin Asante. Meanwhile, the LPG Marketers Association has indicated that they will increase the price of the commodity by the close of day. The prices of petroleum products have gone up marginally due to the depreciation of the cedi and a slight increase in the price of crude oil. Petrol now sells at about 13 cedis 90 pesos from the 12 cedis 40 pesos per litre, while diesel is selling at about 15 cedis 60 pesos per litre. Speaking to Citi Business News, the Vice President of the Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, explained that the increment has become necessary because they are buying at a higher rate from the BDCs.
Yes, definitely we have intention to increase. From today we are going to increase prices about.
How much up will that be?
It's going to go up by like 1 cedi. Okay. Currently it's being sold around 11 cedis 80 pesos. Going forward we are going to sell it around 13. The cost price of the products has increased, so we have no option than to also increase prices. We used to buy it at 9 cedis per kilo from the BDC. Now we are buying it at around 10 cedis 20 pesos from the BDC. So the BDCs have increased their price by about 1 cedi 20 pesos. And we also have no option than to pass that to the consumer. We began the second window yesterday, so immediately we've even started changing some of the prices.
Gabriel Kumi is the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Neti Ajahu. Up next is Point Blank.
Counting a population of over 1.4 billion people, a vast wealth of natural resources, and brilliant minds, welcome to Africa, where our collective prosperity is very much achievable. This is why the Africa Prosperity Network, under the auspices of the President of the Republic of Ghana and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, presents the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, dubbed the Kwewu Summit. From the 26th to the 28th of January 2023, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will host some of his colleagues, heads of state, over 500 business leaders and social sector leaders on the continent and in the diaspora for the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. Themed AFCFTA, from ambition to action, delivering prosperity through continental trade. Register at www.africaprosperitynetwork.com.
Agrunahide, football from around the world. Fili on HD Plus from 17 January 2023. Score HD is available only on HD Plus channel on 5.1.
Counting a population of over 1.4 billion people, a vast...
For Pepsodent, smiles are one of the most important things we have. The problem is, globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Pepsodent, with maximum cavity protection, helps to prevent the formation of cavities. Pepsodent, because every smile matters. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
There's something special happening at Heritage Christian College.
Their bustling campus is right in the heart of Amasaman, just behind the Olympic Stadium, and it will amaze you what they are doing there. Heritage Christian College is churning out academic excellence with their comprehensive range of degrees, including Bachelor of Business Administration programs, IT, and theology. Don't forget to ask about their professional programs and short courses. What makes Heritage special? Heritage Christian College takes the academic experience further than ever, with one laptop per student, flexible fee payment, entrepreneurial training with financial support, all delivered by a caring faculty working to develop your character and your intellect. Admissions are in progress, so call today on 054 7777 731 and get accepted. For more information, go to hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian College, a university educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Agrunayide, football from around the world. Feely on HD Plus from 17 January 2023. Score HD is available only on HD Plus channel on 5.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight on Point Blank, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has resumed sittings and has been inviting public officials to come answer questions. Today, the committee invited officials from the Sports Ministry, led by the Minister for Sports and MP for Yagbaku Bori, Honorable Yusuf Mustafa, to come answer questions on the Auditor General's report. Deputy Minority Leader James Kluchi Aveji chairs the PAC, the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. So let's go now and hear what transpired today.
The issue here has to do with lodgement of 11,220 according to the auditors between July 2019 and July 2020. This amount was dispersed, the authority dispersed, the National Sports Authority dispersed this amount without first lodging the amount into the bank. What do you have to say about this?
Chairman, I'll ask the Director General for the National Sports Authority to respond, with your permission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, indeed, this was in Kufuridua, one of our directories. So as the law requires, we mobilized the IGF, and then at the time, we were to lodge the money, and then NSA receives 40% of what we generate. In fact, due to challenges with the releases of funds, the government of Ghana funds approved by Parliament, we had a lot of challenges, so we wrote through our sector ministry to the finance for them to review the sharing, because most of the years, sometimes we do not even get releases from the Controller and Accountant General. I think that request had been considered favorably, and currently, as we speak, we have 66% to the National Sports Authority, and then the 40 or 34 to the finance. That after that, we've been able to manage with it, and now we launch. And we have indicated to all our regional offices also to lodge whatever money that they generate, and then for their share to be given to them. Honorable Chair.
My brother, I think the latter part of it, you have answered your own question. My question is, there are 11,220. between July 2019 and July 2020. That was what happened. So according to auditors, they urge management to strictly abide by the regulation, but the amount, did it happen or not?
Yes, so when we received the report, we wrote to the Koforidua, because this happened in the Koforidua, for them to confirm as to whether this amount was indeed not lodged. It was confirmed to us recently, and steps have been taken to pay back that amount that belonged. Yes.
I think that is fine, but as you are saying that now you have got the clearance, now you can spend up to a certain amount. But this was a mistake. And Chairman, I think, I don't know, the auditors, unfortunately for me, the auditors did not talk of refunding the money or paying the money back to. But I think, Mr. Chairman, if you can probably see that they did not get the approval, but they spent the money. By going forward, as we talk today, now they have got the approval of about 30-something%. But that money was spent without that. The auditors did not recommend for refund. So the chairman is aware, so the chairman handles.
Auditors, are you satisfied? You have not recommended any refund or whatever. Now they say they have the approval.
Honorable Chair, our recommendation was first, they should lodge the amount into the non-tax correction account before the split is done. But what they were doing was that they lodge in their own account and they spend. So once they are doing the right thing, we don't have any problem as to how to refund or something. That one is left to the Honorable Committee.
Yeah, so you spend without authority. Now you have authority to spend. So we are going to ask you to refund this portion from your future revenue. So the recommendation is that clerk take note. The authority must refund this 11,200 back to non-tax revenue account. Let's move to the next one, paragraph 271. Honorable Kisi.
When an employer interdicts an employee, the employer shall pay not less than 50% of the employee's salary for 6 months during the investigation, disciplinary or criminal proceedings of an offense for which the employee has been charged, and pay the salary until the decision has been brought to finality. In this case, it appears that we delayed either in started the half payment, the 50% payment, and then also we delayed in bringing to a conclusion the matter within 6 months.
Indeed, this issue happened in 2018 in relation to the number 12 expose, which was led by Anas, and a number of officers then were affected, including my own predecessor, who was the Director General then. So all of them were actually interdicted, and the investigation was directed by Presidency. They were investigated. Some of them were exonerated. Others were found culpable. This particular individual was part of them, those to be investigated. And to date, we haven't received a report on him from the investigation. We've done a number of follow-ups at the police service, who also confirmed to us that indeed they are investigating the officer, but then it was commissioned, the investigation was commissioned by the presidency, so they will submit their report there, which we did a number of writings through our sector ministry to the presidency for the report to be issued, so that we will know whether the person is found guilty for us to be act on it or is to be reinstated. Till date, we haven't received such a finality, and it has been a challenge for us indeed, officer who is also involved.
I am of the opinion that you have to make a determination on your own. So what you're telling me is that even beyond this period, he's being paid. Is that what you're telling the committee, that he's still being paid although he's on interdiction? Because a determination of either guilty or not guilty has not been arrived at.
Yes, the officer is still on interdiction. Yes.
The question is he still being paid the same salary, or have we now corrected to 50% even? Where are we?
So on interdiction, he gets 50% of his salary. Yes.
So we've corrected the wrong. Is that what you're telling us now? There was a period where you were paying him full salary, although he was under interdiction.
No, he has always been paid ever since he was put on interdiction. He wants to take 50%. And these auditors' findings were that if he was to be found guilty, then it lasts for 6 months, and therefore all the other payment that came after the 6 months, which was still part of the 50% paid, would have been recovered in favor of the state. And as it still stands, the determination has not been made. And this is a report up to 2020. In fact, if you had appeared here also earlier, because petition was made even to our governing board, and they also advised that we still should seek the advice from the presidency. And I think the Honorable Chair, with your good advice, direction, will help us to be able to bring finality to this particular matter.
I think you are shirking your responsibility. In fact, I am of the opinion that you have the right to make a determination regardless of what the presidency might come up with. And I really think that after 2 years, you're not being fair to this gentleman, especially if he's innocent. Because with this tag, he cannot get employed somewhere else. And this is a tag that you, not you per se, but the institution has put on him. And I think it's been very unfair. And I really think that forgive me, but per my determination, 2 years is too long. And do not pass on the decisions. Some determination, if you're firing him, fire him. If you're not firing him, we have to come to a conclusion so that this state matter has to be brought to a conclusion. I'm entirely not happy. 2 years is a long time. Mr. Chairman, I think this is above my pay grade. I'll let you handle the rest of this, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, who is to make a determination whether is guilty or not? Who is to make the decision?
As of now, in the CID outfit of the Ghana Police Service, they are the ones handling the matter.
And when was the last time you visited them to see what is happening to the case?
In fact, a number of times we have written.
When was the last time?
To the Ghana Police Service,
Yes.
Last year, but I can't confirm the actual date. I remember even the Labor Union, the Labor Commission, the gentleman.
You said you have written to them,
yes,
the police.
Yes, we have a number of.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
Chairman, we will furnish you with some of these correspondence and the petitions that we gathered over this period.
You have
it's not here yet. Yes, we have copies. Yes, sure. Yeah.
Have you really written to the police?
Yes, please. We have. We've written to.
When did you write? When did you write to the police?
When I assumed office 2019, we wrote a number of letters following up. The legal unit, which is also under us, has also made follow-ups. At some point, the gentleman was even at the Labor Commission, and we were invited last year. All of us appeared before the Labor. We have all these correspondence that I can make available copies.
You knew you were coming to answer questions on this particular issue. Why didn't you bring the necessary correspondence?
I think we had case over here.
Chair, the one from the Labour Commission, we have copies here about the latest. So as I indicated, I can make available all the correspondence. I've been a bit disturbed by this particular matter. And that is why we, yes,
officer.
Yes.
You are not disturbed. You are not disturbed. Because see, if it was you who have been on half salary for 3 years, I'm sure you would have taken some action. You would have sent I'm surprised the guy is still hanging around and not doing anything about it. Because you are not showing any concern at all. And you knew that you are coming to this committee to answer questions on this particular matter. And you say you didn't bring any document, and we should not give you any time to go and read the document. You don't have them. What did you say the Labour Commission has said? I was asking you about letters you have written to the police, and you are talking about Labour Commission. Why?
Excuse me, sir. Could you state your position again?
Yeah, Director General, National Sports Authority, sir.
Director General.
Yes.
I have a credibility issue. This case is about 3.5 years old. What have you done about it?
This is the very first time we are discussing this particular issue.
Sir,
yes,
just answer my question. Those letters you say you've written to the police,
yes.
Can you give us a copy?
That is what I indicated to the chairman, that I'll make them available because...
Sir, what did you think you were coming here to do? Didn't you know that you have been cited for these items? Then you come and sit here in presence of the committee, you tell us that you bring it later on. Did you think you were coming here for us to ask you how you were doing?
Chairman, thank you. If you are pursuing a criminal matter against the gentleman, it does not detract from you handling internal disciplinary inquiry matters. That is to determine his status, whether he remains in your employ or not. So he can be your employer and still go through the criminal prosecution if you determine that he deserves to be in your employment. You can also make a determination and terminate him, whether it's fair or not fair. That termination can happen and still pursue the criminal prosecution. So by any means necessary, lawfully, you must exercise the internal mechanisms under the Labour Act to determine his fate. Because given his circumstance now, he's pursuant to the Labour law entitled to only 50% of his emolument. Not the emolument, in fact, his salary, because other allowances will not be paid until the final determination of the disciplinary issues. And I recall, if you say that this matter didn't come up, I recall that last year, sometime when we met here, either June or May, this matter came up. We don't want the auditors to flag this matter later this year. So please, we are directing that you deal with this matter as the head of the institution, effectively once and for all.
And what is delaying the determination by the Labour Commission?
Mr. Chairman, as I indicated in my earlier submission, because the investigation was commissioned not by us, but then we were to act to make the officer interdicted. So we indicated to the Labour Commission that we are still pursuing to get a report, in fact, a directive, for us to be able to even know the outcome of that investigation. Really, the announced issues, most of these evidences are not available to us. The police has them, and they say we did not commission that investigation.
But this is 2018. The interdiction took place in 2018, June. And so it's well over 3 years. Don't you think that the matter has been prolonged too much?
Indeed, it is prolonged because At the time, before my predecessor, then there was acting Director General, my own brother, Alhaji Majid Bawa. He even initiated this process of the interdiction. And then I came in 2019.
But it's been delayed too much.
Yes, I agree with you.
And I'm not sure that the last time that Labour Commission called this case is, I'm sure it will be more than 6 months or a year. So virtually nothing is being done about the case. Nothing is being done about the case. Now, I want you to finish the committee with the correspondence between your office and the Labour Commission. And Clerk, we are going to recommend that the Labour Commission expedite action on this case so that they can come to early determination. All right. That'll be all for you, but I think there is some public interest question from Deputy Ranking.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairman. Minister, it has to do with the Black Stars. I know that immediately after the finals of the World Cup, countries who, for one reason or the other, lost their or sacked their coaches have made efforts to recruit new ones. I know of Portugal, Belgium is doing the same and all of that. But I did not see that from Ghana. What really are you doing? Because it looks like it's become a matter of public interest. And every Ghanaian who loves football and follows the Black Stars would want immediately a new Black Star coach. So, Minister.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Chairman, yes, indeed, after the World Cup, countries that lost their head coach have made efforts of replacing them. And you've mentioned countries like Portugal, France, and they've even renewed. Some of them contracts have been renewed. In Ghana, the FA, which is the agency or the organization in charge of making sure that they hire a coach, is in the process. And I personally have engaged them, and they are working to, as at last week, the indication was that they will bring the final report to the ministry, possibly this week or next week. And because I also know that we have an assignment in March, and we need to have a replacement of head coach in place so that he can start preparing in earnest to get our team in place for the AFCON qualifiers, which is going to take place in March. So, indeed, the country should be assured that the FA is working to ensure that we get a replacement.
So that's the Minister for Youth and Sports and MP for Yaba Kubori, Yusuf Mustafa, speaking before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. That would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Production by Beverly London. New media or social media support from Edwin Kwakofi. Technical support from Oakland and so. We return tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and good night.